Hello and welcome to another edition of the Get With It podcast. Are you kidding me right now? Stop. We'll have lots of entertainment, I guess.
Yeah, complete with cats in the background
I
looking
know.
to escape through the blinds.
I know. It's not like you can get out the window. So, all right. Well, I have Kelsey McGuire. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
All
Hi,
right.
it's really, really nice to be here. Thanks for having me on.
We're excited to have you. You have quite the interesting background. We're going to get that. But I mentioned snow earlier and you have a short sleeve shirt on. So you must be in a very warm place.
Yeah, so right now I am working from my family's house in Northern Virginia. So not particularly warm, but I am a big fan of impractical sleeveless sweaters. And I'm not entirely
Gotcha.
sure why. I am slightly chilly, but I'm just going to stick with it.
All right. Okay. Commit to it, girl. Commit to
Yeah.
it. There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no going back at this point, and luckily there's a tiny space heater in here that helps quite a lot.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Because it's snowing here in Ohio and it's like 30 some degrees. It's very, very cold.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's brutal. I don't envy
Yes.
that.
No. I don't envy those poor people in Buffalo who are about to get blasted. They're supposed to have a historical record setting um, snowfall. Did you hear about this in
Oh,
Buffalo?
no, I hadn't heard about that. How much are they supposed to get? Do you know?
I I don't, but I guess they're getting hit pretty hard. So, be glad you're not in
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yeah. I'm thrilled that I'm not in Buffalo, and to everyone in Buffalo, best of luck with the snow.
Yes. They even moved the Bills Browns game to Detroit, Michigan because of the snow.
Wow. Yeah, the snow's going to be bad if they're moving something to Michigan instead.
Yes, which is already getting slammed with snow. So, do you get snow in Virginia?
Yes, we do. And I'm based in Brooklyn in New York City, and we'll get some snow there. It's always gorgeous at first, especially in the city to see it
Oh,
come down around the buildings, but it quickly turns into something a little bit less pleasant.
yes. So you're in New York.
Yeah, that's where I'm generally based. I'm just down here in Virginia working from my family's house leading up to Thanksgiving to spend a little extra time. But I've lived in New York now, I think, for close to 10 years at this point. And right
Wow.
now, my partner and I are in Williamsburg and Brooklyn, which is really a lot of fun. And close to
Wow.
quite a few different tech communities as well. There's a big Web3 hub there, and the consensus office, I think, still is Bushwick, which is walkable from Williamsburg.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's a good
Wow.
good place to be based, especially for this type of work, I think.
Good. All right. So let's go back and let's start from the beginning, shall we? Well, maybe not the beginning,
Yeah.
but maybe
I'm like on a
college.
cold winter day,
Yeah,
December 30th.
exactly.
Yeah, so we could start at college. I went to school in state at Virginia Tech, obviously kind of a tech engineering focused school, but I focused on Spanish and more of the international relations side of things because I thought that I might end up doing something in government or politics, but I wasn't entirely certain. So I worked probably towards the end of school, started getting the occasional consulting job that focused on marketing and communications. And I was like, oh, well, this is actually really, really interesting to me. It's so human oriented, which is what I think I was looking for in the international relations piece. And you really can kind of think through how you want to tell these different stories. So I ended up right after graduation volunteering for this group called Thirst DC, and that was TED Talk style conversations at bars in DC with folks like NASA scientists, different politicians. And I met some folks there that asked if I could take on a project for them that was marketing, comms, brand related for a food truck festival. And after that, it was kind of off to the races with all this marketing, brand communication work. We ended up even hosting a big get together, an event that I ran with the Embassy of Canada and really have moved in this sort of realm since then. The interesting thing is those two people, I think, now are the folks that run NFTLA. So full circle, and now we're back both in
Oh, wow.
Web3. Yeah. It's a small world, isn't it?
Small world. Wow. All right. So that was from college
Yeah, so that was
to,
now a long time ago. After doing a lot of that consulting work, I was taking on some sort of independent projects and tech clients. Ended up working in the fashion and beauty industry at one point at Ann Taylor in their headquarters in Times Square, another point at a luxury beauty brand. But I was always really interested in getting into tech. It's something that was cool, that I thought was really cool from a very young age. I remember when we got our first Mac computer, like the big kind of black and white ones. And I was like, this is thrilling. So it was always kind of in the back of my mind, but I felt like I'd fallen into this pattern of if there was a job opportunity, just kind of going for it. And for that period in my life, it was mostly in fashion and beauty industries. But I was always sort of keeping an eye out for the opportunity to move into tech. And that actually came one day. I was at a party with some sort of fashion brand. I don't recall, in Soho, and I met someone there that told me about consensus and Web3. So I had known a little bit about blockchain and had chats with some of my banker friends who, this was years and years ago, probably 2016, 2017, who were a little nervous about it. And they were just nervous about it to make me really interested in it. Because I felt like this might be something, if my friends at these banks are a little concerned, this is worth kind of digging into a little bit. And I had a conversation with a woman actually at this party, and she had just started working at Consensus. And so I gave myself a little crash course in blockchain and Web3 to build on what I knew already, and went through their interview process and started my career in Web3 there, and tech really outside of the consulting that I'd done before, in 2018.
so just for people listening and they don't know, because sometimes we have outside tech people listening, blockchain, you're going to have to probably explain it. Did you hear? Oh, uh-oh. Did I cut out? Can you hear me? No.
Yeah, I can
Yeah?
hear you now, but you had cut
Okay.
out a little bit. So if you don't
I'm
mind
sorry.
repeating
No
that
problem.
question.
So we don't always have like technical people listening. We got all sorts of people.
Uh-oh. You are now
Uh-oh.
frozen, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness.
That's okay.
What is happening? Hold on. You can hear me now?
We're
No?
having one of those days.
We are. All
But
right.
you're still broken up and mostly frozen.
So now? No?
Yes.
Now, yes.
I,
What's my face look like? No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, I like it. So I think we're good now. At least you didn't get frozen like that.
Okay, well, that's good. How would you be? Can't keep a straight face. All right,
Yeah.
let's try this again. All right. So we don't always have technical people listening. We have a um, wide range of listeners. So you might have to explain what blockchain is, because you said bank friends and nervous. So you might have to explain that a little further for our friends.
Yeah. So I kind of leave it at blockchain is the technology. It's a distributed ledger, but it can do so many different things. And when people say Web3, they mean blockchain technology. And that's a lot of those different things you hear about in the news, and in different kinds of conversations around this new decentralized technology. Well, I guess, at this point, it still feels new, but it's been a number of years that folks have been engaging with it and sort of figuring out what can be done. I think it's probably most interesting to view through the lens of different ways folks are thinking it could impact actual of people's lives. it can allow people to send money very, very quickly and easily without all of the fees that you experience right now. So for remittances, say you're working in another country and you're trying to send some money home with a wire, it can take a very long time and be very expensive. But this type of technology can facilitate a really quick, efficient, not expensive at all transfer, which is really cool. I think some of the really interesting projects are focused on identity. So, you have your driver's license or your passport, but they're looking at ways that you can attach real verified information about you to your virtual identity and potentially down the line replace some of those paper documents and maybe reduce everyone's trips to the DMV that no one really likes going to anyway. So it's a really interesting space. I think that right now, a lot of the traction we're seeing is, everyone, even if you're not technical, I feel like there's always a lot of progress being made on things behind the scenes. When you think about tools for developers and all of those little pieces that you don't necessarily interact with as your average consumer, that's where a lot of people are focusing their time and building out this new system that would then facilitate those types of projects, like I mentioned, around identity and remittances and so on.
Do people ever get nervous about their, about giving their identity?
Like I think that with some of the pieces that I'm seeing, I think that the key part will be with these projects working with the government and working with these trustworthy institutions. So you make sure that it's kind of similar. I think of it a little bit like back in the day when we first had websites, we'd go on or you're buying something online. It was so nerve-wracking giving your credit card information, but they made sure that there were safe portals and avenues to store that information when it made sense, to transmit that information and to get you what you needed. And I think we're kind of in those earlier times now where it will be essential to partner with known trusted entities to make sure that everyone is comfortable and everything's being handled in the right way.
Yeah, I could just imagine. You're right. When you would buy something online, it would be very stressful. You would be giving your credit card, I mean, the information. And
Yeah,
so, yes.
it does get really stressful. I remember some of my first online purchases many, many years ago. I'm like, will I actually get the thing? It feels so weird entering in any sort of information. And now it's commonplace, maybe too commonplace in my house
Uh,
sometimes, but very
yeah,
commonplace.
it's very commonplace in mine too. So, yes, Amazon knows my ins and outs and what I like and what I don't. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So I see it
yes.
similar to that. And I think for folks looking to learn a little bit more about blockchain and Web3, going on websites like, Consensus, or even typing in like YouTube, lots of folks learn well through videos, and that's really helpful because I know I'm visual and reading off a lot of definitions of blockchain without any of the potential use cases and applications ends up being a little dry, especially for an audience that's just starting to explore this.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yes.
It's like reading stereo instructions, right? Can be
Yeah,
very,
exactly. Yeah, and I'm like, and people are like, oh wait, I talk about this amazing technology and people aren't feeling that excited, or everyone's gearing up to be at home for Thanksgiving, the folks in the US, and how are you going to present this type of conversation at the dining room table? And I really think it's the best is through potential use cases and what's happening there, as opposed to just, oh yes, it's a distributed ledger and blah blah blah, and you'll see their eyes glaze over. So I try to avoid that.
that's probably good. Between passing the mashed potatoes and whatnot, that could
Yeah.
be quite the conversation starter. So, all right. So, now from the beauty industry that you were in, marketing, that kind of thing, you went right to working blockchain, right? Have you been there
Yes.
since? Have you been at
Yes.
the same
So
company since?
No. So I've been in blockchain, Web3, kind of crypto. I feel like they all are slightly different, but are often used interchangeably since 2018. And I started at Consensus, and that was one of the larger sort of Web3 blockchain companies at the time, focused on Ethereum. You guys have probably heard about ETH. It's the second largest after Bitcoin. Those kind of big ideas, big players in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for a number of years. I was focused on marketing, community building. I worked with a lot of our different. They were called spokes, but they're really portfolio companies as well as with the Consensus brand itself. And the really amazing thing there was my role allowed me to travel a lot and host these large scale activations with my amazing colleagues at different global events. And you'll see more and more the Web3 kind of crypto community is so engaged in these in person moments and events. And so that was a really wonderful part of all of that. And some of the folks that I met there, I'm still close with today and really provide a lot of community and support when you're kind of sticking in the tech industry. After Consensus, I ended up going to C Labs, Cello, another project in Web3 that was more focused on the remittances. Like I mentioned, they had an app that you just could pull up on your phone. And then someone I knew was at Coinfund. And so I ended up having some conversations, wasn't necessarily thinking I would make the change, but decided to move over to Coinfund about a year and a half ago. And that's been a really exciting journey because I get to now work with a lot of our portfolio companies here too. And that's probably my favorite part of all of the different roles I have are working with these different founders and helping them figure out their stories.
Where in the global was the coolest place you went to for one of those events?
I there are so many. I feel lucky because they were all in really amazing places. Like I got to go to Prague, Lisbon, Berlin. But one of my favorites was Osaka, Japan. And it was a DevCon, which is the Ethereum, kind of the biggest annual Ethereum event put on by the EF, the Ethereum Foundation. And they picked this really interesting venue on the water in Osaka, Japan. And I got to go put together a big activation there with a few of my colleagues. And it was just a phenomenal experience.
Oh my gosh, really? This had to have been before COVID.
Yes, this was actually right before COVID because I believe I was there for a while. And then I was actually on a work trip right when COVID was about to happen in Paris, which of course was
Oh,
amazing as well. But yeah, I know it's like so I came back right when everything was getting bad. And then of course none of us were traveling for quite a while. And I think things are just now starting to pick up again.
yes, yes. We just had our Get With It conferences and they were all in person. So it was like great that people were getting back into um seeing each other and that face to face and networking. So, okay. So, was there any bad places?
You know, I don't remember ever going somewhere and having it be like a place that I thought was bad. I certainly really love the communities that I work with in Europe. I felt like they were sometimes even more engaged in what we were doing, and even more collaborative. But it's probably partially skewed because a lot of my projects were just based over there and they were really good experiences. Yeah, there wasn't a single place that I think, I was like, oh, well, I wish I hadn't come here or this was a really bad experience. I think there's always interesting things to navigate with these different big events. And it's always good to have, if you can have a colleague with you or someone that you trust that can provide a little bit of support because it's easy to, I think, get overwhelmed or feel a little lost in the shuffle when there's just so many people there and so many things happening.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're at Coin Fund, and what is in what is your role there? I know you mentioned working with your portfolios but what is your role now there?
Yeah, so as of this week, I actually transitioned. I was the CMO for Coinfund, and I just transitioned to a role that is really my dream role. And it is the portfolio company advisor for kind of growth, marketing, communications. So as of Monday this week, I get to meet with our different portfolio company founders, understand where they are in their journeys in terms of, okay, do they have a launch soon? Is there a big announcement coming up? Do they want to activate at events and really help them think through their strategies there? And sometimes I'm working directly with the founders. Sometimes I'm working with their amazing marketing team. And it's just been fantastic so far. Every single one is different, and they are, maybe some are in Web3 gaming, some are more focused on the tools and infrastructure, like I mentioned before. And the variety, I think, keeps things really interesting for me.
That's cool. Congratulations. Everybody wants their dream job, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm just honestly just thrilled with it. It's been really such a great week. I guess, yeah, this was the conclusion of my first full week doing this, and it's exactly what I hope to be focusing on.
All right, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, that was a nice early Christmas present, huh?
Oh, definitely. And honestly, the timing couldn't have been better with all of these big potential launch moments and announcements happening in the new year. I'm really happy to be able to dig in a little bit now and help everyone get their bearings and really do my best to point everyone in the right direction. And a big part of that is also, I focus so much on the human element of all of this. So really digging in and talking through everyone's understanding of their audience segments and who those people are and how you can frame what you're doing through the eyes of the people you're trying to solve a problem for. And so we've had a lot of really great conversations around that as well.
Well, that's good. So, I mean, you just started this new role. So this question is not gonna, I mean, normally I ask like, well, what's new and upcoming? What's your next step? But it sounds like that's it.
Yeah, I would say that this was the big next step. So if we had chatted about a week or two ago, it would have I could have talked about this as the next step.
You would have been
Um,
like, I really would like, and then you would have come back and been like, I got what I wanted.
yeah, like, and it worked out. So this is, I think that really continuing to focus on our portfolio company founders, connecting with other projects as I'm able to, and really figuring out how to build out this type of service in this industry that is so rapidly changing. We all have to adapt really, really quickly while staying true to the different brands and feeling authentic. So it's a problem that I really, really enjoy tackling, and I could see focusing on this aspect and working with different companies for quite a while into the future.
So, with blockchain, you mentioned Bitcoin. What are those the upcoming currency ways people will use? I mean, I think people are very fearful of it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of nervousness, especially right now, but I kind of see it as natural. I guess I've been in the space since 2018, which I feel like in normal years is not a super long time, but in tech years, since you're familiar with working in tech, is a very long time. And I've just seen a lot of different ups and downs. And I think that when there's a challenging market like right now, that I see all of the founders still focused and building. And I think that maybe the main hurdle there is just making sure we keep getting incredible talent in the space. And I think that the folks that are really excited about it won't be deterred. And then it's just like you were saying, those are two of the primary cryptocurrencies, but I guess a lot of my work focuses on more the applications and the use cases like I was talking about earlier. So I just don't focus on the price as much as some functions do.
Gotcha. Yeah, I foresee the exchange rate between the American dollar and other countries converting to a Bitcoin way because it seems like that's more universal, I think. Is it?
I think in certain ways it definitely could be seen as more universal, because you don't have a currency that's tied to a nation as much as it's tied to kind of the technology behind it. And I think that that's
Right.
a really interesting way of looking at it too. And I think that, as we see prices going up and down and the overall market outside of Web3 going up and down, I find that things tend to even out and folks will be ready to re-engage. And I see a big push as well towards higher quality educational materials, because I think that how are you supposed to trust something if you don't really understand what it could potentially do for you and what it is and what it means? And so I'm really excited about that. I've seen a concerted effort, especially in educating women around aspects of the technology as well.
That's good. What do you have a lot of women at Coinfund?
Yeah, we have some women. I think that there's a lot of effort to hire, diverse talent here. And we have a new head of talent who's actually, she's out on maternity leave, or else I would have had her join in on the conversation as well, named Margaret. And that's a big thing that she's focused on as well, bringing in diverse talent for Coinfund. And we do, I think the leadership team, I was there, and Margaret as well. And then we have a number of amazing women that work across the different departments as too.
That's great. That's great that
Yeah.
we're not that you guys have diversity going there. So, okay, so when you're not busy, what do you like to do? Hobbies, fun?
Yeah. So I love walking a lot. Living in New York is a fantastic place if you just want to walk around and take in the scenery. I love listening to these New York City history podcasts while I'm walking through specific neighbors and neighborhoods and learning about them. And it it's just kind of really exciting to me. I love it. I read a lot kind of when I can. It depends on what all is going on at work, but with this role, at least on the weekends, and I have a couple books for the holidays that I'll be able to read. I have regular kind of touch bases actually, and sort of online happy hours with people, a lot of whom I met at work, and we'll talk about Web3 and blockchain stuff, but also about our lives. And then I love cooking. Like my partner and I cook a good bit, especially when we're out of town, traveling he's from California. So we'll go out there and visit and cook and enjoy everything that area has to offer as well. I've been getting really into trying to different like stir fries and noodle type dishes, and the results have been pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Um, now you said your partner is from California. Is he in tech too?
Yes, he is. He works for another Web3 crypto investment firm. Um, but I was in it first. So I always
Competition.
tell him that he copied me, but yeah, he's doing great, and I think really loves working in the space as well.
So is your team like, do you have a team of people that work with you?
I brought on, so during my time as CMO there, I brought on someone part-time that focuses on social media, and some event applications. And I also onboarded a PR agency for us. So that was primarily almost the team. So no one internal directly supporting me. But I was lucky enough to be able to collaborate with our investment and research team. So if there is a theme or a piece of content or a sprint that I put together, I would ask different folks to, yeah, take a look at the topics, like see what makes sense. Do you want to propose something else? And they would draft like blog posts and pieces that I could then edit and help them get published as well.
So you're remote.
Yes, Yes, we have an office in Bryant Park area in New York City, but the Coinfund is one of the great things I think is it's remote first too. So you can go in the office, be able to see your colleagues, but you can also work from home when you want to. And we have a global team. We have at least one person based in Europe now as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So mostly remote unless you choose to go into the office.
Exactly. It's all about having that choice. And we have a great contingency of Coinfund folks down in Miami as well, including our founder and a few others who have moved down there. But we don't have an official office space there, but we host a meetup about once a month. And so it's a time for the community to get together. And I know a lot of my colleagues there are based in Miami. We'll see each other there.
Oh, it's probably really nice and warm there right now.
I know I am definitely a little jealous of the Miami situation. I'm like, wait,
Mhm.
I chose New York City. Why? But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're enjoying it. Last year, we hosted some activations around Art Basel, and that's beginning of December, and the weather there is just perfect. It's so yes, I'm very jealous of those colleagues at the moment.
I can imagine. Oh, ugh, probably gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
wow.
we're in for
So,
some cold weather. We don't get to do the Miami stuff.
and I think it's gonna be a bad winter. Like I think they say it's gonna be a bad winter. So, it gets cold in New York.
Yes, it does. And we live close to the water, so the wind down there
Oh,
is just something that is not fun to deal with. So I think this is a prime time to maybe plan another of those California visits that I was talking about and get out of town a little bit and then make our triumphant return in the spring, but I'll see what we can work out.
there you go. That's what you do. So,
Yeah.
but it gives you the flexibility. You can go wherever and work from wherever then, right? So
Oh,
travel.
absolutely. Yeah, I can, I think the last winter I worked from Mexico for about a week. If I'm away working on a project, I can go a couple days early and work remote from there. I don't think that I could go back or would want to go back to any job that required me to be in the office for probably any number of days, if I'm completely honest. Like I like going in and seeing people. But I want it to be my decision. I've been remote since 2018. I've been remote first, so I'm set in my ways at this point and
Oh,
can't go
yeah.
back.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah, is most of your work remote?
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
I have a client in Michigan and yeah, it's a global organization also. So I have teams in Egypt and India and Europe. So yes, everything is on Zoom,
Oh,
which,
amazing.
well, Teams or Zoom, one of the two, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
um, is amazing to think that where would we have been without Zoom technology, right? Or
yeah,
Teams, Microsoft Teams. So
yeah. It's so nice that we have that and that it generally works even.
generally,
Yeah.
some days it does not,
We
as we
got there
found out today.
eventually. Yeah, yeah.
We did. We connected eventually. It was just, oh, being difficult. So, all right. Well, other than maybe going to California, any big plans for the holidays?
So I'll be back here in Virginia for the holidays. And my partner and his mom will join us. And I have a younger sister who also lives in New York. So her and I will come down here together, which is fantastic. And we'll probably spend most of the time here. We're lucky in the area where we're based. It's close to Middleburg, which is like a pretty countryside area. We're close to Washington, D.C. So we'll be able to explore and do some different things and especially show my partner and his mom around a little bit and some of the sites that they probably haven't seen yet. And then after that, we'll probably just be back up in New York City for a little bit before figuring out an escape plan from the cold. Do you generally host the holidays at your home or do you travel for them?
So I will be going to my whole family lives in Michigan, and
Oh, cool.
so I will be heading to Michigan with my kids for Thanksgiving. But
Nice.
I'm the only one here in Ohio, and so my mom comes down for Christmas here, but I have an 11-year-old son, so we don't. He likes his bed and to get up on Christmas morning and open presents in his house. So
That's fair. There's something about having that moment in your own house after you slept in your own bed. But where in Michigan will you guys be heading at some point?
so my mom lives in Flushing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we'll be heading up there. And then in the summer, she lives a little bit north, um, Rose Lake. It's outside of Cadillac. But my family is originally from the UP. So people in Ohio make fun of they say I have an accent. I don't think I do, but they say I do. Um, so I was in the
Yeah.
UP about a month ago, and little over a month ago, and I came back, and I was on a call, and they were like, "You have an accent." And I'm like, "I don't."
Maybe you just soaked some of it in when you were up there, and
Yes, it must
don't
come
sound like a lot
out.
of the UP like people that I know. We've spent some time up there. My dad's from Flint area,
Oh,
so we used
so
to
my
spend
mom
every summer
lives.
in Michigan. Yeah, like
Yeah,
really, really close.
yeah.
I think Flushing might be where my grandparents lived for a time as well. And I don't, it's so beautiful up there. And I remember a couple summers in the UP with all of the gorgeous lakes and the little
Hmm.
towns. And I loved it. And I feel like it's a little like a lot of people don't know what a great trip that can be.
It's beautiful. It's like they call it God's country. It's just very, 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 very different. It's just how they live up there. They're very simple people.
Yeah. And really good fishing too.
Hmm.
We'd go
Yep.
fishing all the time. That's awesome.
Do you ice fish? This is a random question.
No, we never did ice fishing. We'd mostly just go out in the morning on little boats and fish that way. We were generally only up in Michigan during the summertime, so didn't
Okay.
experience the winters and ice and everything that goes with that. Do you ice fish?
Oh, no, 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 no,
Not your thing?
not my thing. But which was really funny I had a conversation with one of my teammates today about ice shanties. He was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about, yeah, how he's like, Elizabeth, I just ordered my ice shanty. It's going to be delivered to my house. And I was like, okay, so you ordered a shack? And he was like, no, no, it's an ice shanty. And I'm like, is it heated? Like, it seems like that's not like it's freezing, right? It's freezing. Then you go sit on ice that's freezing. It seems like it's a cold activity. And people like cold. But he was
Yeah.
showing me that these fish shanties now are like mobile homes almost, and they roll on the ice and the wheels go up, and there's like just like holes in the floor, and there's a bed and TV, and they're really nice.
Wow, that sounds like
Yeah,
a different situation from what I pictured and what my dad grew up doing as well. I think that
probably.
was more of like a rugged shanty or freezing style experience than a
Yes,
mobile home type experience.
yes, yes. And if he was fishing out of the Flint River, I don't know if he was catching fish or dead bodies. One of the
Yeah,
two was happening.
yeah, you have to head out of town to go fishing
Yes,
or go up to we'd go up to Canada sometimes and fish for like walleye and that sort of thing, which are
you
just
would not get
delicious.
that out of the Flint River. Nope, nope,
No,
nope.
no, no. You have to go up, just head out of the city a little bit.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Oh my gosh, such a small world. That's funny. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I graduated from Michigan State, so
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so I'm a Sparty through and through. So I get a lot of slack down here in Ohio because I'm outside of Columbus, Buckeyes, you know, it is what it is. So
Yeah, what took you to Ohio to
a
face all the
job.
adversity against being a Sparty?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I think I want to go and start some rumblings. No, a job. I came down for a
Yeah,
job. I met my husband um, here, and so and his family all lives in Florida. So um, we're just kind of in the middle of we just stayed here for whatever reason. So um, but all
now
good.
you're there.
No. Yes, and my daughter's a junior and my son is in fifth grade. So you like establish, like my daughter has friends and once, you can't just pack up and leave now. They have lives here. So
Yeah.
that's the only hard because I'd like to move. I would like to move home. So, um,
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it's so difficult, especially like as a junior, like even
mhm.
thinking about moving at that time when you have your entire community somewhere would be so difficult. But I hope you get to go back to Michigan eventually. It is
I
so
hope
beautiful.
so. I hope so. Michigan State's on her list. Fingers crossed. Because
Mm,
yes, if she goes there, then I can go. At least
that
go
sounds like a
visit
pretty
more
good plan.
often. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can go visit
exactly.
more often. So yeah. So,
I'll keep
but
my fingers crossed for you guys.
thanks. Well, I appreciate it. Well, I am so very thankful of your time, and I apologize again for our technology difficulties earlier, but I appreciate you jumping back on and getting this figured out. And I hope you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday. And let's keep in touch.
Yeah, I would love to. And thank you so, so much for having me on. And I'm glad we, yeah, got through some of the technology challenges. And yeah, have a amazing holiday and hopefully we'll catch up again sometime soon.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again, Kelsey, and enjoy that sweater, short sleeve sweater weather until it's
Thank
not
you.
not able to do that.
Yeah, I'll make the most of it. I promise. Thanks, Elizabeth.